All right, we're live.
All right, cool.
Yeah. How
Hi
you
there,
been?
Chichi Jam.
Yeah, how you been, Lisa?
I've been good. How you been, bro? It's good.
You
It's a
know,
blessing.
trying.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. Trying to stay busy. It's the fourth quarter now.
I know, right? I
Mm-hmm.
can't believe it.
Christmas. Yeah, Christmas is around the corner. The holiday is literally there. Halloween is like next week.
For real.
Hopefully it doesn't rain because my son so wants to go. My 2-year-old, like every time whenever we go past pumpkins, he'll be like, "Humpkin, humpkin, Halloween."
Oh, well, it's a fun holiday for everybody, but especially the kids. I mean, I had so much fun with the kids when they were younger too, so I can only imagine.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't rain or it's not too cold because like I do not want him to get sick. You know what I mean?
I know October is a funky month for us in California, or at least in Sacramento anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a hit or miss.
I got a new keyboard and it's acting weird.
Well, you got to be like me then, Chia. Don't get anything new. I'm just kidding.
Well, it's not new. This keyboard has been here. Um, somebody, my wife's been using it, so she stopped using it. So now I got it back, and I'm like, oh yeah, I want it back. So, it feels it's nice. That's why I bought it in the first place, but it's different. So my muscle memory has to get used to it again.
No, I totally, totally understand that. For me, I don't like to change any of my technical stuff, even my setting and everything like that, because it's like I'm not that tech savvy. So I like to everything the same. I don't have to relearn anything. My brain cells left for like numbers and crunching and all that other stuff already. I don't need to learn any more techie stuff.
Yeah, I feel you. Every time whenever I add something new to the desk, it's like, it's a new routine. I gotta remember now. Kind of like the recordings, I gotta remind myself to turn on the recordings, or else it's just gonna make me feel like, oh man, I didn't get it. So it's just an
But
extra
you're
step.
actually really good at that, Chia. Your setup is
Uh
awesome. Mine is just whatever.
no, yours is fine, everybody has their own style. Eventually you're gonna find yours, so it's all good. But all right, uh just a few heads up out there. Today we're gonna be talking about assumable loans. We were trying to get to this topic a couple weeks ago, right? But
Yeah.
we were going through so much information that we did not have time for it. So today that's gonna be the first thing we're gonna talk about is assumable loans because we're still getting a ton of you guys asking us about uh assumable loans, and we kind of want to talk about it because we did had a client that were pretty close to going through with it, right, Lisa? And when we found out the details about it, it wasn't too sexy anymore. So we'll share more about that in a bit, and educate you guys more on what assumable loan is. And then of course the second topic too that we're going to cover is the market crashing, because rates are getting high. Gosh.
Oh yeah.
Y- so like it's and prices aren't really dropping too. So is the market crash nearby? That's like the number one thing right now on top of everybody's minds, like buyers especially, because a lot of our buyers are like, I'm gonna wait till rates go down, or I'm gonna wait till prices go down, then I'll resume. And we'll tell you guys in a bit why you should or should not do one or the other, and kind of give our 2 cents on that in a bit. But first, of course, we do want to go over market update. We don't have Charles here today, but he's here with us in spirit. He might even come by on the comment section. So if you guys do have any home inspection questions or anything like that for Charles, just shoot them down in the comments. Or if you guys have any questions for me and Lisa, just shoot them in the comments as well, or the live chat, and then we will answer them accordingly as we're going through today's topic. But of course, first thing first, just wanna Charles is right there. What's up, Charles? But of course, first thing first, we're gonna do a quick market update. We are just gonna go over numbers and kind of, do all that jazz. What is going on, Lane? Glad to have you on. I like your name, Lane. Okay, let's get started. Let me share my screen, okay? Okay. There it is. The chart everybody loves. Okay. Look at that chart. Wonderful greens. That's good to see. So of course inventory is up. Okay. New listings are down. Sold homes are down. Pending homes are down. Let me just kind of go back to the chart and kind of share my opinion on this a little bit, just because I feel like lately I've been kind of scanning through this market update when I should be talking more about it, why things are the way they are. Okay, so if you guys look, the green part for sale, right? This color right here, this is inventory basically. The reason it is slightly going up is because a lot of homes, if you see, new listings are down, pending homes are down, right? um, and sold homes are down. When a home is not sold and it's also not pending, it goes back to being an inventory, which is this green bar right here. That's why you see it going up. That has to do with homes not selling. And why are homes not selling? Is because it's either overpriced, it's not moving ready, the seller's not wanting to fix it, or incentivize buyers on buying their home. So it goes back on the market. And whenever a home goes back on the market, for some reason, buyers see that and buyer goes, I'm not touching that house with a 5-foot pole because something might be wrong with it. Even though technically nothing is wrong with the home, it just came back on the market. Maybe the buyer had bad financing and it didn't go through. Or, maybe the home was just overpriced. So a lot of times when there's a home that comes back on the market and it's sitting, I normally typically tell my buyers those are the home that's probably going to get a better deal, because the sellers are probably still paying for the mortgage and they're probably motivated to sell because that's why it's on the market still. So if it's overpriced, let the appraiser find out what it is. And if that's the case, then renegotiate the price down the line when you're in escrow. Okay, but typically, no, those homes that are back on the market are the home that's kind of better for negotiating on price and on incentives. Okay, and that's why we have inventory kind of going up. And of course, new listings are down, pending homes are down, sold homes are down. Okay, as you guys can see there. So hopefully that helps clarify some things. Now, comparing this week's data to last month, inventory is a lot higher by 11%. New listings are down 18%. Sold homes are down 20%. Pending homes are also down 16%. So, see again, whenever pending homes are down, that means it's either gone sold or it's either gone back to the for sale inventory. Okay. So, this new listings needs to go up more in order for more inventory to hit the market. And when that does happen, this kind of goes up and this goes up. All right. Now, the current month compared to the same month last year, inventory is down by 36%. New listings are down 22%. Sold homes are down 25%. And pending homes are down 17% from last year. Okay. So everything is down. So even though it seems like inventory is a lot more, it's not as much as last year. Okay, I need you guys to understand that. Remember, if you guys could still remember last year inventory seemed like it was so little, right, Lisa?
Oh
Everybody
yeah.
was fighting. Everybody was fighting, competing, and overbidding on homes last year because rates wasn't as high as right now.
Well, it's not only that. I mean, we say this, I think, almost every single year since we've
Yeah.
been on, right? Yeah. It keeps getting worse and worse, depending on
Yeah.
how you look at it.
Yeah, and look, see, Link says, does that mean the price of houses will drop soon? Normally, when there's more inventory laying, prices should come down, right? But kind of like what you see right here, last year we had like 36% more homes than this year. And so if you kind of take that into consideration and into perspective too, that's kind of why prices hasn't gone down as much as people have hope. And when I get to that tab, you're gonna see the prices, okay? So yeah, it'll make more sense. Now, if you're comparing year to date this year to last year, 2022, inventory is also down 36%. New listings are down 35%. Sold homes are down 29%, and pending homes are down 25%. See, so a lot of the numbers are down this year. Okay, and this is more inventory wise. We need more inventory in order for prices to stabilize. Okay, otherwise, it's just going to be supply and demand again. Now, average price per square foot, it's up since last week by 1.5%. Okay, but last month it's up by barely a percent. Now, comparing the same time to last year, it's up 4%. Year to date to last year, it's down 4%. Okay, so average price per square foot. Again, you don't want to just say a home that's sold across the street sold for $348 per square foot. I'm gonna do the same to mine. You can't really do that because normally, whenever a square foot goes up, the average price per square foot goes down. Okay, you can't really take this into consideration. A lot of times I think people confuse this, Lisa, with contractor bids, because a contractor will go in and they'll be like, oh, you want floors done, it's $20 a square foot or $5 a square foot. So I think
Right.
people hear that so much that they think, okay, cool, $348 per square foot, that's how much my home is worth. No, 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 that's not how it works. Okay. Again, you still want to talk to a local agent or just a local expert or even an appraiser and find out what the true value of your home is. Okay, or just look around the neighborhood and compare apples to apples. All right, it's pretty simple to find out how much your home is worth. No, do not go on Zillow because Zillow is not accurate. Okay, you could still use that data to help, but don't rely 100% and say that, oh yeah, Zillow gave me a estimate of $1 million. It's probably incorrect. Okay, so don't just go purely based off of a number that you feel justifies your price. Go based off of the market condition. Okay, what is going on, Eva?
Hey, Eva.
Glad to have you on the show. So hopefully that makes sense for average price per square foot. Let's go on to the next. Days on the market. Look at that. 22 days on average comparing to last week. It was 24 days. 100% of sellers are getting what they're asking for. Okay. If they market it correctly. Now, if you're comparing it to last month, there's no change. So look, 23 days on average for a home to go pending. The moment it comes on the market, if it goes past 23 days and it's not pending yet, something is wrong with the home. This is kind of how you can determine if the price is high or if the home is wanted or unwanted. Okay. If it exceeds the 23 days on average, based off of this data right now, it should have gone pending or received multiple offers already. Okay, because look, 99% of sellers are getting what they're asking for. If they price it right, market it right, and make it showing ready, meaning professional pictures online and staged, all that jazz. All right. So 23 days on average. Eva says, it's been a while since I've joined. Looking forward to hearing to your session. Oh, yeah, it's been a while since you've been online. But it's good to see you now, Eva. Okay, so we're comparing the same month to last year, okay? It's a lot lower than last year, same time. Okay, because last year, the same time, it took 36 days, which is still not a lot. Okay, it's very fast. 36 days for a home to go pending, that's very fast. Okay. For it to be a little bit more normal, it'll be like 3 months.
Mhm.
Okay. So 36 days is still very fast. And that was last year, same time. This year it's faster. And you guys are probably thinking now, right? Earlier, Lane was saying, does that mean price is gonna drop? I mean, just take this into consideration, Lane. Like 23 days. Do you think prices are going up or down based off of the average days on the market? I'll let you
Right.
be the judge on that.
So, Lane, we're still in a deceleration market, and a lot of times, I mentioned this before, but I think it's going to stay stagnant for a while, exactly with what Chia is talking about. Because yes, inventory is going to be even more. It's going to be less and less because the people who are sitting and having those interest rates, they're not really going to sell either. If they can afford it, it's going to be stagnant for quite some time. And when it's stagnant, the home prices will still continue to go up, but at a much slower rate than what we've been seeing in the last 5 years. So you're going to see that it's going to, I wouldn't say taper off per se. I would say right now it's actually in a place where I'm seeing a lot of my people able to negotiate closing costs easier and also negotiate some repairs. Whereas before, it's like, nope, it's as is, as is. 2, 3 years ago, no, good luck with getting any of that negotiated. But now it seems like it becomes a little bit more of a norm. And because it's becoming a little bit more of a norm, more people are actually jumping back in when they didn't do it last year.
Correct. So it's kind of a weird time, basically. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But, like if there's any change in the market, we're going to be updating you guys. You guys can count on that. Okay. Okay. Now, year to date, this year compared to 2022, 31 days on average this year. Last year was 20 days. Okay. Again, it's still very fast. So remember that. Charles says waiving inspections and all that. Yeah, last year a lot of people was just not calling Charles up at all for inspections. They're just going in as is, no inspections needed, no appraisals needed, no loan contingencies. If I get the loan, great. If I don't, I lose my deposit. So be it. But a lot of times during that season, lenders were more confident. They so that's why a lot of buyers were able to do that because they had lenders that were confident and they were willing to risk it. We went back out to look at more homes, new builds, and the builders are coming down on price, but not enough to entice us. Yeah, like right now, even builders are like um offering to like buy down your rate if you use their in-house lender. Like they're sending out marketing mails and emails out to prospects and saying, hey, look, I know rates are like almost 8%, but like if you sign up now without in-house, then you can get it for 5.25 or 5.5 or 5.8. But people don't realize this. Sometimes they charge you an arm and a leg on fees. Okay, so I always tell people this, and Lisa, because Lisa will back me up here too. Don't just compare the rates that another lender is giving you. Compare everything. Compare the closing costs, the down payment, the points they're charging you, all of that. Because most likely, in order for them to be able to bring down the rate that low from the traditional 7%, 8%, they're probably charging you like couple of $1,000 to buy it down. Okay. So look at your closing costs. People see just the interest rate and they're like, oh, yes, you're my lender now. But when it comes to the closing table and they see all the closing cost fees and they're like, oh my God, what the heck did I do? So look at the numbers before you actually commit. All right. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Hmm.
Lena asked a really good question, Jay. He says, why do realtors let sellers overprice homes knowing it won't sell? And
Good question.
since you're a realtor here, Chia, I have my spin on it. I want to hear what you say first.
Good question, Lane. Why do realtors let sellers overprice homes knowing it won't sell? Because they want the business. Most of the time, 100% of the time, that agent wants the business. So They either tell the seller, hey, look, your home is overpriced, so it's gonna sit. If we put it on the market, this is what a good agent would say to the seller, okay? In this scenario, Mr. Seller, your home is overpriced, but if you still want to put that home on on the market for that price, it's gonna sit and it's gonna end up hurting you more. Because again, when the home comes back on the market, you guys already heard me said it. Every buyer sees our home as something's wrong with it. I ain't gonna touch it with a 5 foot pole. It's gonna have the same effect here. So a wise seller that trusts their agent will go, okay, then what do you recommend putting my home on the market at? And then from there, if an agent knows the market, the agent's gonna price it right. It's gonna create bids already, buzz, make it showing ready, all that. It'll sell. But most of the time, it's because the realtor just wants the business, and in order to get the business, they had to kind of overpromise the seller. And if that's the case, most of the time the home doesn't sell, that realtor gets fired. And then the seller is just gonna find another agent to list it. And eventually the home's gonna come back down, but it's probably gonna be listed with a new agent if that agent did not set the right expectation. I'm not saying all agents do this. I'm just saying there are bad apples that just want the business and they think they could take advantage of the market because there's low inventory and that buyers are dumb, that they're just gonna buy anything that shows up on the market. That's not true, you know. So, and then when it sticks on the market for so long, past the average days on the market, the seller goes, "You lied to me, realtor. You say it's gonna sell. The market is hot, no inventory. My home's sitting. It's 2 months now. You're fired." You know. So that's basically the gist, right, Lisa?
It is. It is. I mean, I'd like to also add as well. It's like a lot of times, no matter how you advise somebody, they don't always listen, right, Chia? They
True,
really don't
true,
always listen.
100%.
Well, a lot of times it's going to be like, hey, okay, so I'm going to do what you asked me to do. It's kind of like, okay, you're playing blackjack and you're going to hit on a 19. All righty, I'll listen to you because this is the only way that can get you to understand that selling your home right now is profitable, is good for you, especially if it's an investment home, right? And once that conversation is had and they're just so stuck, the seller is just so stuck, right? Because realtors don't set that price, the sellers do. So if they're so stuck on that price, and if the realtor doesn't say, hey, all right, I'm going to listen to you, I don't advise it, I'm going to listen to you, but here's what I'm going to say, we're going to do whatever open house that needs to be done, broker opens, whatever it is that needs to sell it for this price, we're going to market as so, and we're going to market to 100,000 people, we're going to market on social media. However, if we do all of that and within 3-4 weeks, whatever parameters that realtor sets with that seller, it doesn't sell, then we're going to have to be aggressive and push it down this way. Because if you sell this house, if this house is technically worth 450 and you're trying to sell it for 500,000, all right, you can't be going down to 480. You got to go ahead and do it market value. And at that time, you probably want to do it a little less than market value. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tia, just to be even more enticing because you should have addressed that portion to begin with.
Yes, the best time to sell a home, if you were already planning on putting your home on the market, is like the first few weeks of it being new and fresh on the market. That is the best time to get top dollar for your home if you're a seller. And if you're wasting that precious time overpricing it to hopefully pray to get a buyer that's gonna pay your price, you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot. Because then right now, remember, every buyer that's out there right now is trying to lowball. They're trying to go in and ask for dreams and wishes and rainbows with their offers. They're trying to get 3% interest rates on their mortgage again. So they're expecting sellers to pay for all of that. So if you're a seller, you know all of this, and you're already setting a high standard, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. So it's better to price it slightly below market value. Here's a tip, okay, sellers. If your home is worth 500K, put it on the market at 490. It's gonna create a lot of buzz. You know why? Buyers that are looking right now are gonna know that, oh man, that home is so underpriced. I need to jump on that. But
Yeah.
he or she's not the only buyer that's in the market. There's hundreds and thousands of other buyers in the market that's looking for the same home. They're also thinking the same thing. So guess what happens now? every buyer jumps on in now, and you receive 20, 30 offers again, and it automatically creates a bidding war. You already
Correct. And
got
that's the whole
overpriced.
right. I mean, as soon as it goes slightly down, Lane, as soon as it goes slightly down, there's some sort of incentive. It pumps back the market. So it's like that's a lot supply and demand, that double Dutch supply and demand that's going on. And you're absolutely right, Lane. They don't get paid. Realtors do not get paid until the house is actually sold. So in this business, time is money. And the good agents, they won't even take that listing. They'll just let the
Well,
inexperienced.
let me add to that. Okay, some brokers do charge a fee, even if they don't sell it. They will make you sign some sort of a contract
Mhm.
stating that because they went based off of your recommendation and you didn't go based off of their recommendation for using up their time, you owe them a fee, marketing
Honestly,
fees,
that's fair.
staging
I think
fees,
so.
whatever.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
fair.
some brokers do make a seller sign that. So be prepared for that. Okay, if you come across a broker that does that. Another thing I do want to add to that too, and then we'll close this question off, Lane, is even though a seller thinks their home is worth 550K or 500K or $1 million, or the agent thinks it's worth 500K or $1 million, or even the buyer, it doesn't matter if that buyer is getting a loan. It only matters about what the appraiser is going to appraise the property at. So you're actually trying to sell the appraiser on your price, not the buyer, not the seller, not the agent. It's the appraiser. Okay. And the appraiser has nothing to do with the buyer because they don't communicate. Whenever a buyer orders an appraiser, it's through their lender, and the lender doesn't even get to talk to the appraiser because they ordered it. It's a conflict of interest. The only person that the appraiser actually talks to is the listing agent. And you know who the listing agent is? The person that represents the seller. Total opposite sides of the contract. Why did they do that? Because that way there is no conflict of interest. So yeah, impress the appraiser, get it right with the appraiser, and you'll get your home sold. All right. Eva says, I can talk more about interest rate. We're seeing more builders go do buy down, but it's not fixed. Sounds like 1 or 2 years, then it jumps to 8. Yep, it's like 2 or 3 1 buy downs. That's what they're offering. So yeah, it's
Right.
not fixed. That's a
Yeah.
caveat, and those are
And
expensive.
they are expensive. And that's the other thing too. People assume that only the builders lenders can do that. No, you can choose your own lender. And in this market, I would think that most lenders can do that. I mean, we do.
Yeah. Eva says feels like those are bait and switch deals. It can be. It gets people in the
Yeah.
door.
It's like
That's
that
really
gateway
what.
to adjustable rate mortgages. It's that gateway. It's like, oh yeah, it's really enticing. I was like, okay, my
Yeah.
mortgage
See,
rate is
we're gonna
only
talk
this.
about bait and switch deals in a bit. That's assumable
Yeah,
loan.
yeah.
But let me finish my market update, and we can talk about that. Okay. I'll get to your questions in a bit, but keep them coming. I love it. Okay. Average price sold. This is what Lane was asking. Okay. Prices should be going down, right? And look, it's actually steady. See? So look, there's no change from last week.
Oh, that's crazy.
That is interesting, right?
Wow, we
Active
haven't
price
had that
has,
in a long time, Hachi. I think this is
yeah,
the first
for
time.
real. Uh-huh. This is the first.
Uh-huh.
So look, there is like no change in active sold. I mean active price and sold price. Let's
I
look at
feel like we have to
last
have a
month.
bell or something. I was ringing it. I was like, oh my gosh, first time for something.
Man, yeah, like a gong, right? I have a gong. I don't know where I put it.
What?
I left it. Yeah, I have a gong. I left it at the office. It's not here though. Okay, so if we're comparing to last month, okay, active price did go down by 2%, but sold price went up by a bit, just a tiny bit. Okay, so hopefully this answers your question. Okay, Lane, prices are not going down because look, if
Hmm.
you compare to last month, it's not down. If you compare to last year, average sold price is actually up by 9%. Same time last year, it is up 9%. Okay, so look at that. And active price is up too, but active price is not as important as sold price. Remember that. Appraisers care more about sold, not active, because active could still be negotiated, not sold. Okay, because once it's sold, it's already in the books. Active means still on the market and it's still up for negotiations. Okay, now year to date, this year versus 2022, active price is up 7%. Sold year to date is down 2.8%. So from January all the way to October, it is down by 2.8%. Okay, which is not a total, which is not too much to where it's putting a dent in people's affordability. Okay, I always tell people prices and rates don't matter. It does, it correlates. But what ultimately matters and should trump all of that is your budget. Is it within your monthly budget? The home that you need for you and your family, is it within your budget? If it's within your budget, then take advantage of it because it might not be there long for long, you know? Like many
Mhm.
buyers that thought last year was high had to see this year's price, had to see this year's rates, you know? And like I had a past client that called earlier and she was like, Chia, right now rates are around almost 8. I'm so glad I bought my home when it was 3%. I'm so glad I bought it when it was 5%. It's like it's gonna keep doing this, you know? So like the best time to buy when you're able to buy it was yesterday. You know, because we don't know what rates are gonna be like. Nobody has a crystal ball for that, and nobody know what price is gonna be like. You know, so you just need to budget, and then when you talk to your lender, and if everything fits within that budget price point, then just pull the trigger. You know, ultimately, long term, owning is gonna be better than renting, anyways. You know, if you're in it for over 10 years. Did you want to add to anything, Lisa, before
Well,
I
I'm just
close
looking
this out?
at the year to date. Year to date, how many homes have sold so far, Chia?
So year to date, uh, home sold,
Uh-huh. Year to date. Year to
home
date.
sold, or average sold.
Home sold.
So
Actual home.
if you're talking
I saw it
about home
earlier.
sold,
Yeah. I think I saw a little
so
bit earlier when you said it.
yeah,
It was
so
like
year to date,
10,000,
it's
huh?
like 8,200 homes.
8,200 homes. And these numbers are important because while she is doing that, I'm looking at the census. Okay. I'm looking at the census in Sacramento County, and I'm seeing right now, okay, back here, our demographic in Sacramento County, the census shows that we have about 1.585 all of Sacramento County people. Okay. I mean, I don't know how it breaks down just yet. I haven't had a chance to read all of it, but it's like that's what you're going by, guys. The amount of homes being sold this year versus how many people are living in all of Sacramento County, it is such a much smaller amount that the supply and demand chain, the supply and demand is always going to be heavier on the demand side if this continues. And if that continues, and unfortunately, home prices aren't going to go down.
And look, last year there was 11,000 homes that sold.
Mm-hmm.
Well, up
So so
until
more.
October, up until October, of course. So you guys can see why Lisa says that, and you guys can see why the market is the way it is right now. Because remember, this is just in Sac County. Okay, I'm not
Right.
going anywhere else. And this is all the homes, whether it's a duplex, a halfplex, a townhome, a condo, single family, one bed, two bed. I'm including it all, and so far it's only 8,200 homes that sold up until this point. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
within that within that criteria. So take that number
Mm-hmm.
and think about that. All right. Now let me go over to months worth of inventory. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So inventory is at 2 month, 2 months worth. All right. Compared to last month, it was 1.5. Compared to last year, it's a lot less. Well, by point 0.3. Comparing year to date to last year, it's by 11% lower. So inventory this year, even though it feels like we have more inventory now, it's nothing compared to last year. Excuse me. It's nothing compared to last year. All right. And last year was more competitive. So right now, it's kind of like this. If the best way for me to paint a picture for this is just imagine last year there was like 10,000 buyers, but there was probably like 9,000 homes. I know I'm exaggerating, but just stick with me here, okay? So imagine this year now, it's no longer 10,000 buyers, it's 5,000 buyers and 4,000 homes. That's how it is this year compared to last year. So hopefully you guys got that. Did you get that? Did I paint that picture good?
Mhm.
That was the best thing I could come up with. Okay, because people are confused. They're thinking they're watching the media, they're hearing from other gurus, and they're looking at everything, and they're looking on their Redfin apps and Realtor apps and Zillow apps, and they're like, inventory is more now. A home that I saw that was on the market, it's been on the market for months. That's every home, right? No, that's not every home. And
Yeah.
yes, the
That's not every
demand
home,
is,
every area.
yeah, it's not. So it's a case by case, but majority, we just have less buyers, but we also
Yeah,
have less inventory.
right.
The rates is higher, prices are higher. So now that's why you need to go back and look at really your budget, because then your budget's probably changed from last year. Because if you're buying the same home for 500K last year, but rates was at 5%, but this year if it went down to 400K, but it's at 8% interest rate, like your payment didn't even change. It probably went up. So you could be the judge of what's gonna work for your situation. I never want to force anybody to feel like, oh man, I gotta buy, because maybe you shouldn't buy. If you're not planning on being there for more than 10 years, maybe renting is better. But that's another topic for another day. But that is the market update. Hopefully that's good info. If you guys got more questions about it, I'll be glad to answer it. But we're gonna go on to the next topic of assumable loans. Lisa's gonna talk more about that. I think she has a spreadsheet, right?
I did, but you know what? It really, when I price it out, it really doesn't make as much sense, guys, because technically, assumable loan is just that. You're assuming somebody else's loan. So, say for instance, okay, if somebody bought their home for 300,000 5 years ago, right? They're a veteran or they had a VA, FHA loan. You can absolutely ask the seller if their current lender is willing to allow that loan to be assumed by you. You still have to go through the qualification process. It's not, all of a sudden you come in, you got whatever funds that you want to, and you assume it. No, you still have to qualify for that program and all of that, like normal guidelines. Okay. So here's the thing. How does it benefit the seller? You have to think of it that way. So now when the market with that home, the house is now worth 500,000. Okay. You can assume the loan. Now that particular house, the loan is probably a little bit less, um, but you have to make up the difference. So, say for instance, if he still owes $300,000 on that loan, okay, you still have to come in with $200,000. So, if you want to go ahead and put that amount down, if you were going to put a hefty amount down anyway, absolutely that makes sense. But if you weren't, then there'd be no point to that, because if you don't have the funds, you don't have the funds, guys. That's just the truth, right? Why would this make sense then? Why is it so advertised on TikTok and all the social media platforms and everything like that, right? Because it's not as easy peasy. Here's the thing, it makes a lot of sense when we're actually in a buyer's market, when the home prices have gone down, when the choice of the seller is like, hey, either I sell this house at a loss, either I sell this house for what my loan is right now and not have to deal with a short sale, not have to deal with a foreclosure. I am stuck in a hard rock in a hard place. So I'm going to choose the lesser of two evils. That works at that time. For this time around, it's going to be really, really rare that that's going to happen. Um, in in the 13 years that I've been in this industry, I've only had one time where somebody actually had buyer's remorse and sold their home within the month that they bought it. And in that situation, sure, that could work. That could work. But again, in within a month time frame, the interest rate didn't rise that much for you to have to do that anyway.
The other thing that Lisa didn't mention too, but Eva mentioned it earlier, it's like bait and switch deals. A lot of
Yeah.
lenders that advertise assumable loans it's a bait and switch deal. It's a marketing piece that they put together and they want to be able to pull the consumer into their office and ask about this assumable loan. And when they actually crunch the numbers, it doesn't work out. And then they go into, well, since you're already here, we got other products. We got FHA, conventional, VA. What do you want to use to buy a home? You're already qualified. So that's kind of like bait and switch. That's when you hear it, especially right now in the sellers market in Sacramento, it's probably not gonna work in your favor. It's gonna work more in when you're in a buyer's market. That's when inventory is like 6 months worth of inventory. Right now we have 2 months. Okay, and homes are gone in like 20 plus days. All right, so it is not in this market. I have a buddy. He's an investor, and this is what he said: Chia, assumable loan is only good for investors. Why did he say that? Because investors will actually go out there and find the deal, find the owner that's in a very motivational situation to where they're just super motivated to just get rid of their property because it's just hanging over their head and they can't pay for it no more. Then the investor that's able to take on that debt will just assume their loan. So for investor that's willing to be that savvy and go directly to like a owner and find that kind of deal, they can find a lot of these assumable loans. But to a first-time home buyer that is looking in the market and wants something that's moving ready and it's gonna use like low down payment or first-time home buyer programs, it's gonna be really challenging to find an assumable loan that's gonna work because not all loans are gonna be assumable, right, Lisa?
Correct. 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 Right now
Only
it's just
FHA,
VA.
VA, right?
Correct.
So if it's a conventional loan, you can assume it. If
Correct.
it's
And that's the thing too, that
VA,
investors have to be very savvy as well, because you're gonna have to prove. I mean, if you're flipping it and everything like that, and you're doing it one too many times, it's gonna be pretty darn obvious. FHA is meant for you to live in there for a while.
mhm. And for VA, you have to be a vet to even qualify to assume that loan.
Yes and no, Chia. So you don't actually have to be a vet.
On all
The
VA
vet,
loans,
yeah,
assumables.
correct. You don't have to be a vet, but here's the thing: you're gonna have to convince the seller if he's not buying and using his VA for the next home, he's basically giving his VA rights to you to assume the loan.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
why
So
would a
you're gonna have
seller
to
do
convince
that?
they exactly. It doesn't benefit them. So yes, sure, it exists. Now here's another way to think about this, guys. Like say for instance, if there's an elderly couple can't maintain the house anymore, they are on a fixed income, so they really want to live in the home and everything like that, but they can't, afford that anymore. But their kids can. So yeah, you can totally sell it to your kids in order to get this. And if that situation, if you guys have family members that you guys want to transfer this on. G and I've done that before for people as well to make it make sense. How
Mhm.
do we crunch the numbers? How do we make sure that, hey, what if, we can't we can't sell it for 100 and 200,000 of a difference, but what if, because it's family, will $50,000 make a good enough dent for mom and dad to have a little bit of a nest egg, and they get to stay in the house too, and their kids are making the mortgage? Is that a fair enough way to assume that?
Yeah, and remember also, if that's not your situation, right?
Hmm.
Um, and you're going out into the market as a first time home buyer. We had a client, right, Lisa, that had an opportunity to assume somebody else's loan, right? It was a house
Yeah.
that they loved, it was in the location that they preferred, and everything, all the check boxes just checked off, right, for them. So it worked out. But when it came up to it, like this seller owed, they owed about 200K on it, but the home was listed for like I think 550.
Yeah.
So that means our client needed to bring in $300,000 of cash to the table in order to assume this loan and buy this home from this seller. And they didn't have 300K sitting around, you know?
Right.
So it didn't work out for them in that part. They got excited about it because it was offered as an assumable opportunity, but it did not work out because no bank out there, especially if you're planning on using your first time home buyer benefit status, no bank out there, correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, no bank out there is gonna be second in title in the liens. They want to be first.
Yes, for that situation, sure. But if there's enough equity in it, okay, later on down the line, there's a possibility that you can get a HELOC to cover that. So, say for instance, you did pay that, astronomical amount of 300,000. Okay, wait 6 months. Go ahead and get the HELOC, because most banks that do HELOCs will require for it to be seasoned for at least 6 months before you're able to get that second loan. um, you still have to have enough equity to pull out. And just so that you probably won't be able to get out that full 300,000. You have to keep 20% of equity in your home, whatever that difference is. It probably might be
So
$100,000. You
that
might be
HELOC,
that.
so
Correct.
that HELOC that let's say they did do it. They paid
Hmm.
300K upfront to get the home. 6 months later, they need that capital back, so they did a HELOC. So that means 80% of the loan, 80% of the property value now is in a loan. So that means they have two loan payments, two
Correct.
separate loan payments on a home that's worth 550K.
Correct. But here's the thing, okay, Chia. So I'm just doing the math for you guys right now. So it's 500,000. Okay. If you have to leave 20%, so you have to leave $100,000. Now it's $400,000 that you have to work with, right? So the original loan is already 200,000, right? The original loan is 200,000. So you can possibly get another $200,000 out. Why would that be beneficial? So here's the case. All right. If you're making more money, if you have other products out there and you have more investment vehicles that are earning you more, maybe this might be worth it, guys, because if you have this home, there's other tax write-offs that you can put in there as well. So definitely talk to your CPA about that. Okay. So you have a $200,000 loan, the one that you assumed for 2.5%. Then you have a second one that you're paying 8% right now. And usually HELOCs are about 1.5 to 2% higher than market value. So if market value right now is 8%, then it's 10% there. So you have 10% that you're paying on 200,000 on, okay, instead of the full 400,000 that you would normally get if you weren't assuming this loan. So for the second part, that $200,000 that you're getting on that HELOC, okay, that you're paying 10%, unless your investment vehicle is paying you more than that, which I would say it needs to pay you at least 15% for that to even be somewhat worthwhile.
Hmm. Okay.
What are
What
So
a
Lena
what?
asked another really great question. Lane asks, what are your thoughts on about taking an equity out to put on another property for a rental? So Lane, this is good. You have to take a look at the numbers, okay? So for investment properties, right now I just quoted somebody for putting 25% down on a home and the interest rate is 8.375, okay? If the home equity line of credit is 10%, it makes no sense for you to take the equity loan out to cushion for the down payment for this one. Does that make sense? Unless you really absolutely have no funds for it and you have to take a HELOC out. When you take a HELOC out, that also increases your debt to income ratio. So you got to see, okay, how much do I take out here to cushion for this house in order to purchase the second house, right? Most of the time during this season, Lane, it's more beneficial if you can finance as much as you can on that investment home. Do that instead of taking out the HELOC because it's more expensive.
Eve says, we looked at so many new builds and toured so many homes. with 2 stories. By the 20th home, we agreed on 1 story home that is our retirement home. We'll consider young and we don't want stairs anymore. Yeah, it's gonna take a toll on your knees. I remembered before we bought our first home. My kids was like, Daddy, we want stairs, we want stairs. And so what I did was I took them to go look at hundreds of homes with me that had only stairs. And then after the 20th home, they're like, we don't want stairs no more.
So smart, Tia. That's clever.
Because I didn't want stairs and I knew what it was like. So I had to make them see what I felt.
It's so funny that you say that because that's exactly how I was. And my first home in Elk Grove was 1 story as well. And I told my husband, absolutely, I will not do 2 stories. And funny thing is, my current house right now is a 2 story. However, I have 2 bedrooms downstairs, and one of them is my master bedroom. So it kind of like gives me that 2 suite. My adult children live upstairs, we live downstairs. It's a perfect situation for us, actually. So you never know, you might get something like that.
You never know. You never know. All right. If you guys have more questions about that assumable loan topic, just shoot them in the comments. We'll answer them accordingly. But we're gonna go on to the next topic of market crash. All right. Now I am getting a lot of y'all asking me about this. Y'all, you guys are saying, "Oh man, every guru on YouTube and the social media is saying a market crash is already happening or it is gonna happen. Like, don't buy a home, don't do this, don't do that. The world's falling apart." So I kind of just want to share some data again with you guys. Unfortunately, I can't go too far off like I had hope, because you can only go off so far. So I went all the way to April of 2008, and that is when the crash happened. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Around 2008. Okay, so I kind of want you guys to look at the data. All right, if you guys could remember what I went over with you guys beginning of the show on today's market trends, we're gonna do that for '08 and '10. Okay, '08, '09. All right, we did this once, but we're gonna do it again so that way you guys could kind of answer all your questions. All right, so again, is the market gonna be crashing? Let's look. Okay, and compare it to today's market. So let's look here. Oh man, I don't like this. Okay, I need to look at this. Okay. Wait, this is so confusing. Okay, I gotta go here. This is just way too confusing. It doesn't show everything I wanted. Okay, so if you guys look right here, this is April of 2008. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. Look at the inventory, 8,500 homes. Okay, and this is like right when the crash happened, right there. Okay, so if you guys could see how as the months went by, remember this is 2010 over here, okay? You guys see how inventory started going leveling, but then once the crash started fully taking effect towards the end of '08, it started going down. Inventory started going down. You see that? And it went all the way down to the lowest of about 5,000 homes. So almost half of the inventory on the market went down, okay? So that was right here. 2009, mid 2009. And if you guys look at new listings, okay, a lot of homes were on the market, about 3 to 30, about 3,000 new listings. Okay, it kept being like that monthly, 3,000 new listings monthly. Man, imagine we had that kind of inventory, huh? 3,000 new listings. You guys see that, right? This blue line, and you see how it kind of started dipping towards the end in November and it started stabilizing. So it went all and so towards 2010, it started stabilizing like around 2,000 new inventories coming every month. Okay. Pending home, pretty steady. About 2,000 homes go pending every month during 2008 to 2010. Sold homes, pretty stable too. Like about 1,500 to 2,000 homes were sold on average every month during that time. Okay. Now, if you guys look, I want you guys to look at the days on the market. Okay. Look, Days on the market in 2008 of April. 90 days on average, 92 days on average. Remember what I said earlier? It was 22 days? 23 days? 23 days. Right now, on average, a home stays on the market for 23 days. In 2008, it took 92 days for a home on average to get off the market and go pending. This is not me saying it, okay? This is the data, okay? And it started, kind of going down, and towards the end of mid 2009, it started getting low. Now it started averaging around 62 days. 62 days. That's still 3 times more than what we're seeing right now. 3 times longer. Okay. So remember that, okay? Remember that. Because we're gonna talk about all of this towards the end. Now let's look at the price. You guys are gonna hate the price. So average price was like about $250,000. Okay, average sold price was $250,000 in April 2008. All right, and it started going down because of the crash, right? Started going down, and then when it got to early 2009, it's the lowest was around $187,000 on average that a home was being sold.
Can we see the
100
average houses on the market at that time? How long it took to sell in 2009, Chia?
2009. Okay,
Yeah, let's see how many days on the market that was.
it took 79 days.
See, this is the reason why I asked this, because you guys see the difference in these numbers, right? In 2008 is when it was publicly known, like it was really super obvious that the market crashed, but technically it happened in 2006 already, guys. Okay, it happened in 2006, and the reason why I say that is because the banks were already trying to file for bankruptcy. The first lending company that I worked for in 2007, guys, we were let go after 6 months, and we didn't get our last paychecks, and we had files up the wazoo. And here's where the difference between then and now is, so that you guys can have an idea. Back then, I would have to say almost every single loan was a stated income loan. What that means is whatever you
Mm.
say on your application that your income is, that's the income that was used. And when I took loan applications at that time, I was working kind of like at a call center type of thing when I first started. And we were getting 10, 20 applications every single day for people to refinance out in their bait and switch loans. You guys think this bait and switch is bad? They were loans called the negative arm loans. Negative arm meaning just like the credit cards,
Ooh.
right? Just like your credit cards. If you're paying minimum payments, if you owed 500,000 the next month, if you're making minimum payments, you now just owed $502,000. So that keeps accruing. That keeps accruing. It is not happening in this market. So those of you guys who are waiting for 2008 to happen, most likely not.
Yeah, Eve's like, I need this to happen again.
You me both,
but
Eva. You me both. That would be
but
fantastic, right?
but you know that during that time, what was the average interest rate? Do you remember?
If I were to go
2009?
back, I had a home around that time. It was 6.5% ish, 6.5
Six and a
to
half
seven and a
percent.
half. Yeah, 6.5 to 7.5% as well, guys. So it wasn't that
And
much
a half.
lower than what it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And for you guys, if you guys are thinking, was like, well, okay, well now the rates are getting back up there. Why aren't we coming down? Here's where that deceleration market is coming into, because people aren't desperate to sell. People were
Mm-hmm.
super desperate to sell at that time because many of them were investment properties. Most of the people that had foreclosed, they were buying 9, 10, 20 houses at a time.
Yep.
So many realtors, so many brokerage firms, unfortunately, had to pay a hefty fine or went to jail. That was unfortunately the truth at that time. Not so much at this time.
Yeah, during that time, everybody was just riding the wave.
Right. And I say not so much at this time because unfortunately, shadiness still happens. Apparently, I just
Yep.
found out like a couple weeks ago when I had to do my continuing education as a mortgage loan officer. I have to get this every single year. I have to do this every single year. And the crash happened publicly in 2008. Loan officers did not have to get a license until 2010. And the reason why we had to get licensed
Wow.
was because of that, guys. Okay.
I had to get
Yeah.
educated.
Yeah. So I, I kick myself in the butt because if I was more brave at that time, I just came into the industry. I came into the industry at the worst possible time in this business, but it was a great learning lesson because if it did happen again, Eva, I'm with you. I'm like, okay, I'm setting aside funds for that to
You're
happen.
gonna recognize it.
Yeah, I'm wishing for that to help the public too. But here's the thing, as I'm wishing for it, it's a terrible thing to wish for because people have to lose their homes. People have to be in a really crappy situation for us to benefit from that. And it's a double-edged sword.
Yep. Look what's going on in Hawaii right now. Well,
Yeah.
we're not gonna talk about it today, but yeah. So yeah, look at that. Okay, the lowest price went was 180, 108, $188,000 on average
See,
for a home.
Chip, we know now what we know then, right? Guys, you guys who are having 300 to 500 amount of equity in your house right now, if you sell right now, just rent right now, just wait for this to happen, you can buy like 2, 3, 4, 5 homes, guys.
As long as you don't get itchy hands and spend the money you
Yes,
made from selling your house.
yes.
Okay, as long as you don't get
Itchy
itchy
hands, I like
hands,
that.
then you could do it. But we know how the average person is. They get a big lump sum, 200K from equity from just selling their home. It's sitting in their bank and it's burning a hole in their pocket. They're like, oh, I gotta spend this money. And then 3, 4 years
Mhm.
down the line, the crash happens, and they're like, I ain't got no more money left to buy all these good deals.
Well, if that were to happen, you guys, before you guys do that, make sure you guys have a corporation, S corp, LLC, whatever it is. You guys put it in a South area, okay? Have employees, everybody in your family member, an employee, put it all there, let it sit, put it in S&P 500, whatever it is, so that it can grow even more if you aren't able to buy again.
Okay. Let's finish it off with the inventory. Okay. So remember how I always say you need to have at least 4 to 6 months worth of inventory in order for it to be a buyer's market. In April of 2008, inventory was at basically 5 months worth of inventory. Okay. 5 months worth. And then it started going down. And then when it was at the lowest, right? The price was at the lowest. Inventory was 3.2 months worth of inventory.
Yeah.
Okay. But remember, it still kept being steady though. So it was still above like 2.5 months, 3 months worth. Okay. It never went below 2 months worth of inventory during that whole period. And then 2010 came and inventory shot right back up to 4.5 months worth of inventory. So in conclusion, if anybody tells you that a crash is happening, compare today's data to that time period's data. Right now, we have on average 2 months worth of inventory. Homes are being sold, going pending in under 22 days. The price on average is over $600,000. Interest rate is hovering around 7.5%, 8% right now, prospecting around there. So does it look like we're gonna go into a crash? Does the number look identical to the crash?
Right.
And the reason I'm sharing all this with you guys, because again, I want you guys to actually look at the data, do your own research. Obviously I'm sharing this from the numbers with you guys, but you guys want to do your own research. Don't even listen to my word or Lisa's or like a guru or anybody. Do your own research. But based off of what we see right here, I'm telling you, I don't think a crash is happening anytime soon. As a matter of fact, I sent a little picture to Lisa and Charles earlier. from the National Association of Realtors, they think interest rates might go back down next year.
Well,
They
it's
think
election
interest
year.
rate, yeah, exactly. It's the year of the election.
Yeah.
They think it might go back down to 6%, possibly. Are they right? I don't know. Nobody has a crystal ball. It's just a suggestion. Like it's just kind of like what we're doing right now. We're just kind of playing along with it to see how it will play. If it ends up being 6%, you got to really consider this. What's going to happen to the price? Remember, we
Mm-hmm.
have very low inventory already.
Yeah.
All the buyers that were waiting for the rates to come down or price to come down to re-enter the market again, they're all waiting. So what do you think is going to happen when the rates come from 8% now to like 6.5?
Yeah.
Everybody's going to look at it like, oh my God, that's a good deal. We got to jump on it. And
Well,
then,
I mean,
yeah.
Eva made a really good point. She says we like 6% better than 8%. So here's the thing. We also like 4% better than 6%. And we also like 2% better than 4%. So my point is, guys, yes,
Pick
next
your
year's gonna be good.
poison.
Yeah, next year is going to be that year, but wouldn't you rather buy now, solidify that house, and then refinance it later on? Now, of course, okay, only do this if you make sure that your payments for the 8% is feasible for you, is within your budget. So if the market goes well, great, refinance. If the market doesn't, hey, you prepared yourself, right?
Mhm.
Charles asks, is there a hold on interest rate hikes right now? Geez Louise, I wish I could really totally answer that. It looks like
That's not her
yes,
job
but there's
description,
so
Charles.
many times that we look at it and we're like, okay, the Feds just met. They said they're going to keep it stable, but then all of a sudden last week it went into 8%,
Yep.
and today it went a little bit better. It's down to 7.87. But okay, we keep just getting all this information, but it's just so volatile that we're just locking loans wherever we can. We're not waking, we're not gambling. And so far, luckily, everybody's listened to us and everybody's done well this year. It's like, I haven't had a situation where I've locked and I was like, oh, darn, I should have waited another week. Nope, not this year, guys. Not at all. Not this year, not last year.
So again, goes back to what me and Lisa always preach about. Ignore the rates, what it looks like today. Ignore the price. Look at your payment. Look at your budget. If your budget is $3,000 a month that you cannot exceed, that means including utilities, all of that, property taxes, all of that. If
Yes.
you find
Here's
a
here's the
home,
silver lining, though, guys. Here's the silver lining. The higher your interest rate is, the more your tax write-offs are. So take a look at those
yeah,
numbers too.
we're not gonna talk about tax benefits of being a homeowner in this. We're gonna probably have to bring in one of our CPA guys to come and talk about that. But then yeah, there's benefits to that. Now, going back to what I was saying, focus on your budget. All right. If you can find a home right now in this market at 8% with high prices, if you can find a home right now that fits your need and it's within that budget, just do it. Here's why. You're gonna you're gonna avoid moving if you have a landlord that is preparing for this to go. If the rates do go down and prices go up, that landlord's gonna want to sell. And you're the tenant, you're gonna have to find a new home and you're gonna have to pay market rent based off of that time. Okay, that's one. Two, at least you're gonna have that sense of security for you and your family to where that doesn't happen to you, and then you'll be safe and sound, and you know that your budget is within your budget, and you're not going anywhere. Your job security is there, everything is good. You take care of yourself by budgeting, right? And three, if the rates end up coming down, you could always refinance. Okay.
Yeah.
I even have people, Lisa, that are saying this: why am I gonna spend money on buying down the rate when I could just hold that money? Let's say it's $30,000. Instead of using that to buy down my rate and save $50 a month, why don't I just hold on to that $30,000 and make a extra payment of $1,000 a month to give me breathing room until the rates go down and then do a rate buy down, because at least by then my principal will already be lower versus putting it towards a rate buy down. Like, what do you think about that?
So, guys, not to be confused with the 3-2-1 buy down. Right now, it might be very, I mean, most of my clients are buying down the rates, but they're buying it down permanently, not just temporary. One, it's cheaper, okay, to buy it down permanently. You don't get the whole point off, but here's where I crunch the numbers for people. Whereas, okay, if you buy it down by 1%, this is how long it's going to take you to recoup that cost. So when
Mhm.
you refinance, there's costs with refinances too. It's just tagged
Right.
into the lien. So a lot of times, people don't know that, especially if you have a lender that again does that bait and switch and doesn't really talk to you about all of that stuff that you're financing, right? So if right now, okay, my rule of thumb is if you're going to make that up in less than 5 years, if it's less than 3 years, whammy, do it. Okay, because if the hit rate gets low, it's going to be low at the point where you already bought it down anyway. So then you don't have to do anything at all and spend more money on refinancing. Okay, and if it's more than that, and if you know that you're not gonna, it's a temporary situation for you, then yeah, that might not make sense for you. But for so far, okay, in this market with the inventory the way that it is right now, guys, okay, take the safer route. Buy it, but buy it permanently. Don't buy it the temporary one because the temporary one super expensive.
That's the 3-2-1 buy down,
Correct.
or the 2-to-1 buy down that Eva
Yeah.
was talking about earlier, that a lot of
Only
builders are
temporary.
offering.
Yeah, any temporary ones right now.
And that is the show, Chichi fams. Was there anything else that we wanted to talk about today, Lisa?
There's always stuff that we want to talk about, Gia. There's always stuff.
You know what's
I mean,
so funny, Chichi fams? Me, Lisa, and Charles, we always have the best talks after the show ends.
you guys just give us performance anxiety of something, right? Just kidding. Um, I would love, because Chi and I, we have the same tax person, for him to come on one of these days to share some tax strategies with you guys. I mean, when we talk about like really true wealth building, you do have to have a team, one that looks for I mean, I always like to think, realtors are the dream finders. Your lender is your dream funder. Your CPA is your dream saver, right? And your financial advisor is really the one that holds all of that together, and with the team doing all of that for you so that you can see, okay, even if I'm buying it at a higher interest rate, look at how much I'm able to write it off, right? And once you buy your house, can you put that house into your corporation because you're doing business in there? So many awesome things, guys.
Hmm. I'll share one of my tips for what I'm doing personally. So you guys see this room? This is my house. It's one of my rooms. This room, the space is tax deductible, at
Yeah,
least for me.
mine too. That's the reason why I have an office, and I love the fact that because I have two room downstairs, this is that the bedroom conversion that I made into my office. All the cabinets, everything that was all a tax write off for me.
The only thing though is if you do something like what me and Lisa are doing right now with our rooms like this, you can't say that you're not supposed to be like living in it or sleeping in it. It's only for business purposes. Like right now we're live. I work in here, write contracts in here, and I do all that. It's just work. It's an office. I use it for that. So anything that's utilizing um being utilized to power this room, like the electricity, equipment, the camera, everything, like it's all part of my tax write-off, y'all.
Now,
Okay.
Chia, like not everybody in our industry is, fortunate enough to have a extra room that they can convert into an office, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people that
True.
aren't in our industry, hence my craft section for those other businesses that rent out our offices, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
another income too. So just FYI, guys, you can do a
There's a
lot of things.
lot of things you could do
Yep,
once you become a owner and you put it
yep.
into your entity and all that. But again, we'll have our guy come and talk more about that, because again, I learned all this when I started doing all this, and then he started giving me these tips, so you guys just gotta start taking advantage of it. But then many people don't take advantage of it. They only think about the macro stuff, which is the payment, the interest, the price, all that, the utilities. But there's so much more on the on the day to day, on the yearly things, that you gotta still take into consideration. People don't take that into consideration, but you should, you know.
Mhm.
Okay, well, that is it. We need to talk to that guy, bring him on the show. It would be nice to prepare you guys for 2024, for all you new homeowners this year, right?
Oh my gosh. I was waiting for you to say 2023. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot. We are
2024,
those
yeah.
high school
We're already in
students.
October. Halloween is next week, y'all. But okay, we are gonna let you guys go. We're gonna close it out. Thanks for joining us tonight. All your questions were awesome. We love it when you guys engage with us. It makes us feel like you guys are super interested in the topics that we're talking about. But hey, if you guys have topics you guys want to talk about, shoot them in the comment section down below. Let us know. I read all my comments, and I would love to engage with you guys down there. But until then, I will catch you guys next time. Me and Lisa will catch you guys next time. And hopefully Charles won't be in the comment section. He'll come and be on screen with us next time. All right. But all right, you guys take care. Have a good night. See you guys next time. Peace.
Bye, TT fam.